Hey guys, welcome back. So let's talk some more Avengers No Surrender. And man, we really gonna find out what that means pretty soon. Because this event is not only showing us the Avengers going up against impossible odds again and again, but with the relocation of the Earth and also the contest of champions taking place here, not only do we get the introduction to someone who may be Marvel's version of Darkseid from here forward, but the collection of these events happening together may very well throw Bruce Banner right in the middle of World War Hulk Part 2. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so with the Earth being displaced, and a majority of the Earth's heroes forced to contend in a rematch between the Grand Master and the Challenger, who have a history between each other that stretches back further than time itself, this gives us an introduction to a number of new things in Marvel Legacy. First, starting with the Grand Master, finding out that he stole that name from the original Grand Master, who we found out he was banished from the Marvel Universe, or at least the previous universe that existed prior to Battle World and Secret Wars. And it was the destruction of that universe that freed him, allowing the original Grand Master to return and challenge the Grand Master that we currently know for the opportunity to defeat him in a fair challenge. And in their first competition, the Challenger lost fair and square. And when he was defeated and banished out of the previous universe, he had a lot of time in isolation, not only building anger for the Grand Master, but also, I believe, taking the time of becoming a better planner when or even if he were to get out. Because this would also explain what he was doing between the time that he was freed up until the time he confronted the Grand Master. Because I believe during that gap in time, the original Grand Master was doing his homework. Because after spending eons in isolation, replaying his defeat in his mind, then coming back, at this point, I think it's safe to say this guy is a master strategist. And with them knowing before the kinds of games that Grandmaster would play, and then being released and seeing the similar patterns that the Grandmaster uses, most frequently being the contest of champions, this would give him time to not only generally understand the game, because over the years we've even seen in Marvel Comics that this game has different variables to the way that it works, or better yet, different variations to how it works. And because of this, the Challenger, who was the original Grandmaster, he had the opportunity to scout different members that he wanted, that he believed were best suited to win. And his strategy was solid, because in a match that was made for 7-on-7, he chose the Black Order, who had 6 members, intentionally leaving one spot open for his ace in the hole, which happened to be the Hulk, and he brought him back from the dead just for that purpose. And it was a rather genius plan, pairing the Hulk with the Black Order, not to mention he was dead at the time, so the Grandmaster definitely didn't see that coming. And that's what made the inclusion of his 7th contender so surprising. And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, why did they pick the Lethal Legion in the Black Order? And some of you guys are possibly even thinking, why the Hulk? Why not Thanos or Galactus or somebody crazy? But we find that out right when we get the answer to why the Grandmaster chose Earth as their obstacle course. And it's also the reason that they refer to Earth as Avengers World. And this is because when you think of a lot of your more powerful characters, when you think of Thanos, when you think of Galactus, when you think of the Phoenix Force, the heroes of Earth at one point in time have either defeated them or kept them at bay. And because of this, if you think about it, why would you choose from that list? Especially when you need to get through Earth's heroes in order to capture these particular items in order to win. So in that perspective, it makes sense to choose a curveball. And it also makes Earth the most dangerous place to hold this contest. But in addition to that, the Earth had to be moved and hidden in order to prevent any interference from any other heroes from throughout the galaxy. And this made for a brilliant competition, but the Grandmaster still cheated, using his daughter to hide the pieces that needed to be collected. And his daughter Voyager did this by becoming a part of the chessboard, seeming to be a variable that just popped up due to the displacement of the Earth in the first place. And with the Grandmaster not fully aware of how the Challenger planned his ace in the hole, he used his daughter Voyager as his ace in the hole to move the last pyramid, the winning pyramid, after the Hulk showed up and just started running through everybody. But even with her moving the pyramid, the Hulk still found it. And because the Avengers were trying to stop him along the way, they also found out what Voyager was doing and how she planted the false memories in their head, and at that point they finally got her to tell them the truth. But jumping over to Banner, who's still dealing with the whole idea of being brought back and just coping with the reality that the Hulk cannot be killed, and just moments after destroying the last pyramid that he was supposed to give to the Challenger, because this Hulk that came back, he's different, and some things are the same at his core, but overall he is different, because even though he just wants to be left alone, just like the Hulk always has, but the difference with the Immortal Hulk is that he remembers. And with wanting to be left alone, that's one type of anger. But when you're fueled off the anger of remembering something, because of that, at that point, you're gonna be a whole lot angrier. And that was the anger that we saw him fight with when he just ran through the Avengers. And keep that in mind because we're gonna revisit that concept in just a little bit. But during the time that Banner was kind of cooling down and running through his mind the concept more or less of living forever with the Hulk, unkillable, potentially forever. During this time, Jarvis comes to talk to him and he brings up a very interesting point, because when Banner compares to living with the Hulk like living in hell, Jarvis quotes John Milton telling him any man can make hell out of heaven or heaven out of hell, which is another idea to chew on for a little bit. But as far as the Challenger, when the Grand Master is exposed and the Hulk destroys the last pyramid, the Grand Master is like, oh snap, I gotta get out of here, and he dips out. And you know somebody's scared when they leave their own place because they don't want to see the consequences. And that's what he did because he cheated the Challenger. And he knew that the Challenger was so angry right now that he would probably go Super Saiyan and give him the Super Saiyan One Punch Falcon Punch out of existence. And I know a lot of people talk about One Punch Man. He's pretty popular right now. A lot of people everywhere bring him up all the time. But if you are unaware of the Falcon Punch, oh my God, you have no idea. Because Captain Falcon with the Falcon Punch, the destruction that follows. And that's a throwback to like Smash Bros on Nintendo. And because of that, I don't expect a lot of you guys to know where that's from, but just trust me when I say it's a pretty big deal. Like that punch was like taking the end of days in your face. Oh man, that just took me back for a minute. But either way, when the Grand Master dipped out, the Challenger went to Earth. And from the time that he went to Earth, like at that moment, he declared that from here forward, his name is Grandmaster Prime. And he's pissed. And I think more of it is kind of because he was going to win even after his opponent was cheating. Because that would have made the win a whole lot sweeter. But when you also factor that in, with him being banished and shown no mercy, and you also take into account the Hulk's betrayal after bringing the Hulk back from the dead, like this dude has been cheated and crossed worse than anybody in the Marvel Universe. And for that reason, he's like, you know what? Forget this game, forget the players on the board. I'm about to destroy all of it. And on the scope of who he is in comparison to the existence of everything, he just views the Earth like a chessboard that he's just flipping over and the pawns are just gonna fall off. And when he arrives to Earth, he makes it so that his message is heard around the globe. And he pretty much tells the world, and I'm paraphrasing, but he says like, I'm finna dust this dirtball, and if you wanna pray, you can pray to me. I'm the Grandmaster Prime, but make it good because you got 5 minutes. And while he's waiting that 5 minutes, not listening to a damn thing by the way, but as soon as the clock starts, he picks up the Hulk's head that's been broken off of a statue of the Avengers, and immediately the Hulk comes in pounding this dude. And this kind of hit would have taken out most. But in this case, we're talking about the Grandmaster Prime, who has recently been established as one of the elders of the Marvel Universe. And I'm pretty sure with this brand new retcon, or let me be careful, my guess or my prediction is that Marvel plans to use him as their version of Darkseid. That's just my prediction, because there's a ton of ways you can flip that with his origin. But especially with him being the elder of the universe, there's no telling like how powerful this dude really is. And when he came to Earth, his energy projection covered the whole planet easily. And he already said that he can turn the whole planet into a cloud of dust, which takes a lot of power to do, just saying. But I want to make sure that that's my prediction. Just want to make that clear. But as far as the Hulk jumping in and giving him all he got, it was enough to draw blood from Grandmaster Prime, which is impressive. But also keep in mind, with the Hulk who gets stronger, the angrier he gets. The Hulk we see now fighting the Challenger, he isn't amped up like the Hulk we saw a few issues ago going against the Avengers. Because this Hulk just wants to be left alone. And that's a level of anger much lower than what we saw when he faced the Avengers. Because aside from his eyes glowing, which is a sign, but aside from that, the Hulk was so angry that he did not speak from issue 679 all the way up until issue 686. And because of this, most thought he was being mind controlled, but instead he was just that angry. And only anger of a personal level can take him to that level. And that's when we start to get close to our Heart of the Monster or our World War Hulk level strengths. But at this point when he's fighting the Challenger, yeah, this ain't that. And that's pretty much what gets him backhand punched off the planet. And because this took place near the Grandmaster's game room, where there are a number of wormholes set out just above it, and with Grandmaster Prime knocking the Hulk through one of the wormholes, which Hulk ain't even thinking about. He's still laughing because he hurt Grandmaster Prime, which is also crazy. But with Hulk going through one of these wormholes, and we don't know where he ended up yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up landing in the middle of World War Hulk 2. Which would be insane. because from just the visuals of where he ended up at, it looks like we may get this. And there's a lot of things pointing in this direction. I'm talking about even as far back as Weapons of Mutant Destruction, because if you guys remember, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys that are new here, but for my Dopespill veterans, if you guys remember when we were talking about Weapons of Mutant Destruction and Dr. Alba, who created Weapon H, I pointed out to a number of times where she referenced that Amadeus Cho needed to let out the beast from within. And it was in that event where we first got the analogy of Amadeus Cho versus the Hulk within him fighting over the will, deciding who would take control. And in Return to Planet Hulk, man, he gets that glow. He let the Hulk take the will, he let go, and he get that glow. And when he did this on Sakaar, man, it was just epic. But this was something that was in the works ever since Weapons of Mutant Destruction, because as far as Amadeus Cho, that event was set up to send him into Return to Planet Hulk. And as far as Avengers No Surrender, it serves multiple purposes as well, establishing Banner as Immortal and possibly launching him into World War Hulk 2. And after that happens, that just leaves Weapon H, man. He gotta catch up with the Glow team. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.